What's up guys, welcome to Wasted Space, and we're back in Space Engineers, and today I wanted to do something kind of looking a bit at one of the changes in the last patch we had on Thursday, which added the ability for us to fire weapons using sensors and timer blocks. So today I've got something that kind of combines that with my old technique of dropping things out the backside of ships into what I have in front of me here, which I'm calling the Blackbird, kind of as a tribute rather than a direct reference to the SR-71, a plane I think is absolutely amazing. So I'll just dive straight in and show you exactly what this does. So this has been set up for low speed running at the moment. It does do both. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the UI on so I can see how fast I'm going. I go up to about 10, 11 meters a second, so that looks pretty good, and then I'm going to hit 3 to start producing what this thing produces. So we're going to do a few of these out the back, and what they're going to do is they're going to build, separate, and then a timer on the ship itself is going to activate its thrusters in order to clear it from the back of our craft. So we'll do a few of these, and then I'll hit 9, which sort of cancels all of these things off, and then we can go back and have a look at exactly what it is that I've been building here, and what exactly they do, although you'll get somewhat of an idea from the number of sensors that are on the front of it. So let's call this the last one. So once that's gone, I'll hit 9 to stop the building. It's cleared off. I'm going to turn my dampers on, and we're just going to go forward a little bit to make sure we're out of its way. And then hopefully, if I turn around, somewhere back near the sun, we should be able to find the ships that we have been dropping out the back. Where are they? There they are, down there. So let's go and have a look. I did my best to try and make these camouflaged, admittedly for this skybox, so they're blue in this case, but you could make them whatever colour was appropriate. And if we come up here, we should be able to activate this little fella. Basically what will happen is we'll get a bit too close to him, and he'll decide that, oh yeah, it's time for him to take offence at us. And what he's going to do basically is, if I go into this camera, you can see that actually he is shooting at me. He's shooting at one of my side pods, but he's going to do his very best to follow us around. He's going to accelerate towards us, as you can see. He's going to turn whenever we turn. He's going to shoot at me, and if he should happen, if I stop for a second, I'll let him catch me up. So he's noticed that he's gone past, spun around, and I'll just let him actually collide with me. When he does, he's got a nasty little punch on board as well. So you can imagine that you could drive this little ship backwards and forwards, dropping these out. And as I said, it will work at either speed. So you can do this very, very quickly, or you can do this very, very slowly. And these little things are going to basically pursue you and not let you get away. And you could make a complete field of these. And you can get the idea that a whole bunch of these could be set up in such a way that you could build quite an effective minefield that your enemy's not going to be able to see. They're very hard to keep track of because they're so small, and completely autonomous. You leave them floating around. They do, however, have a few flaws. So this is what we're looking at, these little things here, and this is in its deactivated state before it leaves the craft. So I can just kick this off through the trigger now on the timer blocks that are on it here. So you'll see initially it turns on its engines in order to slow itself down, and then after that it activates the sensors, turns the warheads on, and so on. And there's basically a bunch of sensors for different things on the front of this that enable it to follow us around. We've got sensors connected to gyros that handle the turning, and we've got sensors that handle the firing and handle the thrusters. So if I go to these sensors, I can go down and tick it on, and this is where the problem lies again. But yeah, if you go here, you can see it's ignoring me because I'm a friendly player and I've only got enemy on. So if I untick this, we should be able to untick that, and in fact, let's just tick all of these. He should now not pay attention to me. Well, this is a prime example of what I was talking about. In theory, if I untick all of these, no. Okay, he's not bothered about following me at this point, but you get the idea. He is basically set up with a series of sensors that are designed to detect things in a certain area and then follow them around. So if only I could get this to actually do what I want. Maybe if I turn him to nobody. There we go. He's gonna now give you an example of what I mean by the follow and track function we have here. And to be fair, they're not bad at it. The big flaw obviously is again that the sensors don't have very much in the way of range, and I've recently found a mod that dramatically increases the range of these things, but I'm yet to try it out properly with these. But you'll see that if it ever gets to a position, if it ever stops shooting at me, gets to a position where it's got me lined up so that the middle sensor also activates, that's the point at which it explodes. And this one at the top, which I apparently haven't selected and turned on to me, is the one that makes it drive forwards. So what I've done is I've jumped to another world where I can show you a little bit about how it's put together and also talk a little bit about a couple of the flaws with it, because hopefully I've got some solutions to some of them. So up here I've got the various components that put this together. So here we have the drone mine thing itself. This is loosely based on the cluster mine I did, except with some notable changes. So you have a sensor set up for each one of the different directions, and you can see that there's a big grid field set up by that, and they're all tied into gyros. I will do an explanation of that in one of my building on the basics videos, by the way, if anyone's interested in these sort of setups. And what I've changed basically is I've added a thrust sensor and a Gatling sensor to the front. And what the thrust sensor does is control these two engines back here to make it follow a target when it sees something forwards of it. And that's what that long box is, thin in the center here. And then there's another even thinner box down the very middle of it, and that is the Gatling sensor. So that is when it's perfectly on line with the target, it will start shooting. Aside from that, I had to put a little timer on it so that it exited and didn't turn the sensors on too early because of the problem I currently have with sensors. Next bit we've got is this ship. There's not a huge amount to this. Basically, it was built to contain one of these. So this is literally the projector system in the back of it, and as usual what I've done is I make the projector system first and then I build the ship around that to try and keep it sort of nice and small and nice and on task. So you can see how this has ended up being the mechanism that's in the back here, but now buried. And those are, I mean, I've covered how the projectors work time and time again, so this is just a different blueprint. And again, it's using that trick where you've got timers activating timers that are actually on the blueprint that's created. So those timers aren't available at the moment, but they will be once it's welded, and I activate those on the craft in order to release the actual craft itself. Other than that, I went into a bit of time just making sure it was, again, survival ready, so you have all the connections and functions you need. I quite like this sort of uneven dual front end design here, so that you can actually see the connector when you're docking up. It's not as long as you can see the cockpit's a layer back from the end of the connector, so as long as you're docking up with something that's flat or has a connector poking out of it, this should make things a lot easier to dock with. And I did actually put a few weapons on this, as this is obviously a ship that's very much geared towards combat, albeit not combat that it wants to get involved with. Other than that, there's a bit of a skeletal design going on, but yeah, I think it looks alright. So that's about it for today. I hope you found the idea kind of interesting, even though it does have a few flaws. I'm going to show obviously some clips through this that give you an idea of it working a bit better than what I physically managed when I was recording this video, but hopefully that's come through in a reasonably decent way. Otherwise guys, if you enjoyed it, please hit like, please hit subscribe, really helps me and the channel out. And otherwise, thanks a lot for watching, I'll catch you next time.